Hello boys and girls, welcome back to another video on my channel. I'm Octopus, and today we're gonna take a look at the Martel, a tier 8 French cruiser, regular cruiser from the Tech 3 line. But first thing first guys, if you find these videos interesting or informative, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm still fairly new on YouTube and on Twitch as well, so every kind of help is very much appreciated. So, Martel, or Charles Martel in French, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, I'm sorry, is, in my opinion, the definition of flanking, aka roaming cruiser at tier 8. In my opinion, Charles Martel is the best tier 8 cruiser, non-premium tier 8 cruiser, let's say, that is for flanking and kiting, basically. You have very good concealment and 10.7 kilometers. You have very good speed, 34.1 knots with the speed, like without the speed boost. You have to keep in mind that this is a French speed boost, so you can reach quite an amazing speed. You have 3 triple turrets of 203s, so the caliber is very good. The reload is 11 seconds, and you have to keep in mind that you have the French main battery reload booster, the consumable, the eye consumable that you can see here. The range is 17.6 kilometers, and for a tier 8 cruiser it's more than enough, I would say. Yes, you don't have the range of Bagration, Kutuzov, some premiums, but you have similar range to the German cruisers like Hipper. You have more range than Mogami, so you are fairly okay. You have similar range to Chapayev as well, so the range is not bad at all. What do you do in Charles Martel? As you can see, this is a quite favorable matchmaking because we are facing tier 6s. I mean, there's a bunch of tier 8s, but the vast majority of these the opponents are tier 6 and tier 7s. What you see me doing here is using AP, because French AP are super good, especially against these low armor targets like tier 6 and 7 cruisers. So Charles Martel is a very good HE spammer, but Charles Martel has also very powerful AP. I mean, of course, against cruisers. As you can see here, we pop up our engine boost consumable that gives us some extra speed and hence extra maneuverability. This game was played during my stream, and I didn't play Charles Martel in ages, so my aim was slightly off, because I had to get used to the French shell velocity. And what you saw there was the York knocking out our rudder shift. This is one of the main issues with the Charles Martel when you are kiting. The fact that you tend to lose your rudder shift way too easy. It is very easy to break the French cruiser's rudder shift. And this is why you might even think about last stand as well as a captain skill for these cruisers if you find yourself kiting a lot, because really you really lose your rudder very easy. It is very squishy. Here, this would repair the single fire. So what we do, we pop up our main battery reload booster, and we spam her with some HE, hoping to get a couple of permanent fires. We get one, or this is the second one, so we know that this hood is almost dead already. Here, I potatoed my expert loader. I had to wait like another 0.2 seconds, but I was a little bit greedy to switch to AP for this Perth that is roaming around here, and he's about to give us broadside. Whenever you see someone giving you broadside, especially at these ranges, go for AP and you blap them, in cruisers of course. Now we are left with the Benson and this Normandy on this flank. And basically what we have to do is kite away and spam the Normandy with HE. The AA on this Martel is nothing really special. Of course, if you're facing tier 6 carriers, you might have some, you have better chances of doing some actual damage. But you know, AA nowadays is a joke in order warships. So, and this is why I also spec out of defensive AA. I take Hydro instead, which is far more useful. This Benson makes the crucial mistake of getting himself spotted at these ranges. He's lucky that we don't have our main battery reload consumable available. If we had this consumable, he might have died here, but instead he is getting a second chance. But this is not recommended, of course. Never engage a charge Martel in a destroyer at these ranges, because once again, if the cruiser has his main battery reload booster consumable available, you might struggle very much getting away alive from that engagement. So what we do, as always in our flanking and roaming cruisers, is kiting. It's not charging nose in. We always want to face the ships when we are stern towards them. We don't want to face these cruisers, these opponents, while we are bow in. At this moment, this Normandy and York are just fleeing, so we don't chase kiting cruisers like York or Normandy that can spam us with HE and yada yada. Instead, what we do is we have to go back to our base, because as you can see from the minimap, there is only one Sinop on the 9 line, and then there is our carrier that is kind of stuck in the sector of B6, and we have to go back and try to prevent the enemy team from capping our home base, basically, because our that flank just collapsed, and then they are happily pushing into our spawn, which is not a recommended thing to do. But since this is standard battle, so there are no caps really, it is something that is expected to happen. So once again, what we do is not facing this Ignis Purgazio, which is an Amagi, basically a Warhammer Amagi. Is not facing these guys while we are charging nose in at them. As you can see, I started turning away way earlier than way before I started shooting these guys, because as always we want to face these guys while we have the exit strategy available for us, which is in this case going dark, stop shooting, and go away. This Amagi, apparently she is scared of pushing the cap. I don't know exactly why. She's facing only us and an Arizona, so ideally she wants to close the distance with us and dumpster us, but instead what she does is repairing a single fire, eating a permaflood from the carrier, and then running away, which is nothing really recommended in an Amagi. But whatever, this heavily favors me, so I can happily use my consumable and try to set some fires on this Amagi, but RNG hates me in this specific situation. So the carrier starts another permafire, but we are not lucky in this sense. But at least we scared the Amagi away from the cap. Now here I'm slowing down. I want to see if I'm perma spotted or not, because there is the chance that the enemy destroyer is close by, but no, this is not the case. So you always have to keep in mind that between salvos you want to go dark and position yourself in a better spot to be able to use your firepower, and from the safest position that you can have. For example, this Bismarck was aiming at us, and we didn't start shelling her again before we started turning. Now here I've done a little bit of a mistake. I didn't consider the secondaries of the Bismarck as a potential threat to me, but ideally you don't want to get closer than 11.6 kilometers or 11.3 kilometers to Bismarcks and Tirpitz, because if they have if they are secondary spec, you will have some extra damage coming from their secondaries, and this is a mistake that I've done. But now I'm trying to disengage at least, so he will struggle hitting me hard. But yeah, definitely don't put yourself in this kind of situations. You want to avoid the extra damage of the secondaries. As you can see, even secondaries broke our rudder, so this is an issue definitely in French cruisers. So always keep this in mind when you are kiting away, which is almost every single. I mean, you want to kite away basically whenever you can. So take in consideration that they can break your rudder. Absolutely. I think I have last stand on my Martel. This is why I'm able to turn regardless. I have to check my captain skills at the end of this video. But I do think that I have last stand on my Martel exactly for this reason. So now the Bismarck is gone. We already scored the Confederate, 2 kills, 3 citadels on the poor cruisers, and what we do now is go back into action because we are fairly out of position now. This Bismarck and the Amagi brought us out of position. We are almost on the A line, and we want to go back and see what we can do about the remaining enemy ships. So in Charles Martel, basically you have to be patient. You have to you don't have to rush positions in the first part of the battle. You have to be patient, take your time, get into the position where you can start farming battleships and cruisers and yada yada, because this is what French cruisers are designed for. Medium to long range spam, and if it happens to you to have the perfect spot to go for some AP on broadsides, go for it. But your main job is medium to long range HE spam and dodging shells and that stuff. It's very basic roaming cruiser stuff. So in order to do that, you have to take flanking position usually, and this is when carriers really mess up with Charles Martel playstyle usually, because the early spotting of carriers usually denies roaming cruisers the perfect positioning that they have to have in order to be effective. But whatever. In this specific match, the carrier didn't really come to strike us. Here I take a risky move. I think this Amagi is not that good of a player, so I take my risk of turning and slowing down completely with my speed boost active. I'm able to do this in a very easy way. So, and he overshot, and then we are able to kite away from him as always. Never face targets that you are farming while being nose in. Always run away from them, because as I already said multiple times, it favors you running away from a target that you are spamming instead of chasing the target. The Amagi in this case has, I mean, her shells has to travel more space, and it takes them more time to just reach us, so this gives us more time to dodge basically. If you're wondering about this camo, by the way, that I'm running, is the perma camo, the Halloween one, so that you could get from, I mean, some past Halloween events. I'm not sure if you can get it somehow in some other ways, but yeah, it doesn't give you any real benefit. So if you're wondering what the hell is that camo with that green smokestack, it is the Halloween one. Someone asked me on stream, and they were wondering what the actual fuck was that camo. As you can see with our HE, we are able to score very decent volleys on the superstructures of this Amagi that is taking a fuck ton of damage. Here I spot this Pensacola. I immediately switched to AP because we know that Pensacola has a huge citadel, and as soon as she gives us a little bit of broadside, we can try to score some citadels on this guy. So I wait, because I think this Pensacola is gonna turn at some point. I hold my fire. I switch back to HE because I thought this guy was going in a straight line. Then he turns. I switch back to AP, and we are trying to get the perfect spot to land some AP shells. Because once again, remember to use the AP whenever you can, especially on these cruisers. He angled away again. This was only 3k volley. We try again once more, and this time the RNG favors us, and this is a 12k volley plus the high caliber on the way. and we are gonna be able to finish this Pensacola guy. There we go. So now there's only this York remaining. I'm checking with my torpedoes what he's doing. He's accelerating a little bit, so I shot a little bit further in the front. Maybe even a little bit too much. Yeah, this was a little bit too much lead. York is not a very agile ship, so she doesn't accelerate that. I mean, she's not that maneuverable. Now she's kind of full speed, so we have to take some extra lead. As you can see, the shell travel, the speed of the shells, generally speaking, on French cruisers is not great. So you have to take some extra lead, even at these ranges. It is like something like a NC for battleships. The French cruisers are almost the ones that have these lowest shells, besides Americans, of course. Here, York is a little bit angled, so her turtleback is coming to help him, but he's now turning and giving us full broadside, and this is the scenario where our AP can score citadels, because if he sailed in a straight line, he might have gotten away with that, but he was turning, so we were able to score some citadels on this York. Now, we are left only with the Shiratsuyu and the carrier. I'm expecting this Shiratsuyu to try to stop me from contesting their base. So I'm pinging where I think this is the most probable position of their Shiratsuyu. But it appears that this destroyer is not willing to contest the base. So I keep sailing because I think that at some point we might get vision of the enemy carrier. So I pop my hydro because I don't want to run into some unexpected torpedoes. Shiratsuyu has 10 kilometers torpedoes that hit like a truck. They don't have good concealment, but he can even run the torpedo reload booster. So a potential of 16 torpedoes in the water is quite scary at the moment. So because if I take one torpedo, I might die if I take it in the central part on my ship. Charles Martel, as the vast majority of cruisers, doesn't have a decent torpedo protection, so one Shiratsuyu torpedo can even kill me. Of course, we are tier 8 cruiser, but we are not that good at defending ourselves against even a tier 6 carrier. You will see this. The carrier is going to focus us, of course, because she wants to reset the base. But yeah, this match is pretty much won at this point. There is not really. Here I fire a random volley to see if I'm spotted. You see, now I'm spotted. So this means that there is something in my main battery firing range. It can be both the carrier or the destroyer. I assume they are both in my range. So I'm pinging the carrier to spot the enemy ranger for me. As you can see, she's almost 17 kilometers away from us. We go for some AP. Here I was holding my consumable to see how much lead I have to take. Now I have to take some. I know that I have to take some extra lead. This is one citadel at 16 kilometers. I pop my reload booster, but as you can see, our carrier just Fs the planes, and this is a wasted consumable, especially because of this. The carrier should have just stayed there and spot the enemy carrier, but of course she didn't realize that. Also, she is in H6, so by the time this game is over, she is not gonna be able to come back with her tier 6 planes and to spot this carrier. So this was a chance missed for our Kraken, but whatever. Sometimes your teammates will fail to realize that they don't have the time to just get another strike in. I don't know, whatever. Nowadays carriers are usually not the best players at recognizing positioning and how the battle is evolving, but whatever. With 30 seconds remaining on the clock, we scored pretty decent result. We even absorbed 1 million potential damage, which is something that you want to do in a charge Martel. You want to get focus fired, especially from medium to long distance, because you are very maneuverable, you can dodge, and every shell that the enemy is throwing at you is a shell that the enemy is not throwing at someone else in your team. So if you have high potential damage in Charge Martel, you're doing your job basically. And here it is. So these are the final results: 196k damage, 19 planes, 4 kills, 9 citadels and 10 fires, Confederate and high caliber. As you can see, a very good mixture between AP and HE. Oops, no. Okay, 2.6k basic experience, not bad. Well done to our York that scored the Kraken, but as you can see, we had a much more big of an impact in the game, damage-wise and XP-wise. Here is the distribution of the damage. This is just a partial screenshot. I'm sorry about this. I potatoed my screenshot, but as you can see, 88k came from our HE plus 37k from fire. So the HE is your main weapon usually, but as you can see, AP is 70k, which is not bad at all. So once again, you have your main job is spamming HE from medium to long range, but if it happens to you to have medium to close range cruiser broadsiding, go for AP. Absolutely, your French AP are one of the best AP in the entire game. Keep this in mind. 1 million potential damage, we already said. Damage upon spotting almost nothing, but once again, you are a second line cruiser. You are not a first line cruiser, and you don't want to get in front and spot for your team. You have to get some spotting and some help to survive long enough to be effective and spam HE and deal damage. And this is why usually French cruisers struggle with the carry potential, usually, because you need time to be effective. You need time to farm damage and long enough in order to get this farming to be useful, to be impactful in the during the match. Because if you are getting a ruffle stomp, you don't have any tool to basically stop a battleship or something like that. You have to have time to deal damage, basically. Finally, oops, where is that? Here is the credits, earnings. Charles Martel is a silver ship, so nothing really special. If you play good, you can have some credit earnings, especially with some modifiers, and if you have one of these perma camo, it is even better. But yeah, don't expect anything special. So this is our Charge Martel. Let's start with the modules. I would say, let me see the hull. Yeah, you need to go for the hull first, I think, because it gives you HP at AA, maneuverability, better concealment as well. So yeah, definitely the B hull is the way to go. Then take the improved main batteries, I think, for 1 second extra reload, some extra turret traverse, and some more damage on the AP. But I don't know. Maybe you should you can consider even going for the range, the gunfire control system module. This is up to you. But first things first, the hull. I mean, ideally you want to play the ship fully researched, but I know that not everyone has all that free XP to spend. So hull, range, and guns, I think, main battery, I think this might be the best option. Here, of course, as always, defensive AA is useless nowadays, so just go for Hydro. You have a standard 5 km Hydro, which is not bad. Here you don't get to choose anything, so you can skip, you can go to the upgrades. Here, main battery, armament modification 1, because your turrets are not that tanky, so they can get knocked out. Plus, your AA is nothing really special, so you don't get any value out of preserving your AA anyway. and this is useless if you're running the detonation flag. Here, if you have it, run engine boost modification 1 for extra duration of your consumable. As you can see, this is French speed boost, so instead of the normal 8% maximum speed increase, is 20%, so you want to enhance this as much as you can. If you don't have this, run engine room protection 1, because as we said, the rudder shift is the rudder is really easy to knock out, and risk of steering gears becoming incapacitated minus 20% is not bad. Here, better accuracy. Honestly, you don't need this for torpedoes. You have 3 torpedoes per side with 9 kilometers of range, but these are YOLO torpedoes, so you don't get any benefit out of this one. We are not talking about this and about this. You might fancy about turret traverse, but as you can see, turret traverse on Charles Martel is decent, 23.4 seconds. So I find this to be more useful, especially considering that you are firing from longer distance usually. So you can get some kind of benefit from this one. Next, propulsion. You want to be as maneuverable as you can, so you can dodge effectively shells and slow down and just reaccelerate in a very fast way. So in my opinion, propulsion is the way. You can go steering gears if you find it useful for you. Go for it. Don't go for damage control system modification 2. It is not really that valuable on cruisers like Charles Martel. And finally, concealment. Here you can go for steering gears modification 2. It synergizes kind of good with propulsion modification 1. So from this one you can get some extra acceleration. From this one you get a rudder shift time much better. For example, if you go for this one, you have 5.9 seconds of rudder shift time, which is not bad. You can go for even this one and you can get any absolute crazy 4.7 seconds, which is destroyer level of rudder shift time if you want, especially when you have your speed boost consumable active. This is a very trolly build, but keep in mind that when you will be out of your consumable, then you might struggle. With this build, your consumption is 11.9, which is not bad, but having 10.7 is even better. So I think this is the best build. You can go for you can get away without concealment, but I would say this is a build for some more experienced players. So if you are a kind of newish player, just go for concealment. It is by far the safest bet. Captain skills. Let's see. I have only a 15-point captain on my Charles Martel because I really enjoyed playing Charles Martel back in the days when I grinded. Back in the days there was not the main battery revealed consumable either. So and it was still a very fun and powerful ship in my opinion. Then they added this consumable, so Charles Martel is even more powerful nowadays. And yeah, this is my old build on Charles Martel, which is priority target. I would say adrenaline rush, especially if you have the French captain with the special one with the improved adrenaline rush. Go for it, absolutely. Then demolition expert, concealment expert, and then amazingly enough, I went for some 2 skills on my captain, because you can go for RPF, but you don't have any radar or something like that, so you're not gonna have. You can benefit from it, of course, always, but it is not mandatory to have it. Plus, you don't have. Having an extra charge of speed boost and of your main battery reload booster is not bad, absolutely. But sometimes you are not gonna. The battle is not gonna last long enough for you to use all your consumables. So this might be a wasted skill. Sometimes you might benefit from it, but most of the times, in my experience at least, you are not gonna benefit from it, absolutely not. So instead I went for last stand, because as we saw, this prevents us from from using our damage control system for the steering gears being knocked out. Expert marksman and expert loader. I would say take expert loader as soon as you can, because switching from AP to from HE to AP in the right moment with only 5.5 seconds of penalty is very useful on Charles Martel. If you find some cruisers popping out at medium to close range, broadsiding you, go for AP and you are gonna score a ton of citadels. So ideally, if you have a 19-point captain, I don't know, you can go for, as I said, RPF is not going to be a bad choice. You can fancy about superintendent, because if you find yourself getting involved in super long battles, you might need another speed boost or another main battery reload booster, whatever you want. So I would say superintendent and preventive maintenance with the last 4 points. If you don't want this, you can go for, I don't know, jack of all trades, another 2-point skills and something else. So, but in my opinion, the 15 points are more than enough for a Charles Martel to be effective. Absolutely. So, flag-wise, let's see. Of course, you have good speed. You want to enhance this feature even more. Better reload of consumables. Better fire chance, because with Demolition Expert and the flags you can reach 19% fire chance, which is awesome. So, and finally some more AA, but as we said, AA is, I mean, it is not bad, but it is not very good either, so it is okay. So having this one is, it is gonna benefit a little bit, but don't expect to be shredding down planes. That was a tier 6 carrier. Tier 8 carriers can just I will not say ignore your AA, but they are not going to be scared of dropping you at all. So that said, this was my Charles Martel commentary, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, or if you find that you found it a little bit useful. As always, remember to subscribe to the channel in order to support me. Leave a comment down below if you have any question or any suggestions for future videos. I will leave you my Twitch link and Discord link that I recently opened in the description of the video. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.